So I actually didn't get my testosterone from the gender clinics or a private clinic. And this is another thing. It's pretty hypocritical of me to say because I wouldn't be on it otherwise, but I got my testosterone by going to the GP once and saying, can I have testosterone, please?"
Hey everybody, I got myself another one. I'm very excited to talk to this young person today. And so before we move forward, I just want to thank everybody always for watching the channel and helping me bring these guests on and really seeing that we're building a community of reality here. And I just love the guests I get because I think it does help so many people see that this is not reality, and there's people who are very sane in this community who are also not really liking what we're all seeing here. So for this person to step up to the plate means a lot to me, and especially as a young person. So with that, I have this person who's awesome. Seems I don't really know Freddie, so this is Freddie, and I'm going to let Freddie introduce himself, and then we'll move forward. So hey, Freddie, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thank you very much. My name's Freddie, as you know. I'm a trans man in the UK. I'm 20,
Great.
so
Great. Okay. Yep,
not
that's a great start. You're
bad.
you're 20. That's why I'm so like happy to have you
Yeah.
on. I really want to I value you young people a lot. You're the next generation, and it means a lot to me to watch you all start coming up and living your lives. But I'm scared for you on the flip side. So with that, being a 20-year-old and connecting to me, it really warms my heart, kiddo. So and I'm gonna call you kiddo because
That's
I'm
fine.
61. And I mean that with lots of respect and with love in my heart for you. So Freddie, so let's get into this, Freddie. Let's first talk about why you reached out to me.
Well, really, I've been loving what I've been seeing, and it's more of a sort of I can't talk to anyone my age about it because
Mm,
everyone I know is has very liberal views about it all.
mhm.
Um, and I just, I'm so
Yeah,
desperate to use my voice as a young person to, you know,
yeah.
say what I want to say.
Fantastic. So let's get into your transition a little bit first, and talk a little about yourself and where you sort of started to feel this desire to transition.
Yeah.
Um,
So, around puberty, I'd feel uncomfortable, and I know that's very normal.
sure.
And so I think actually I had signs that, there was something like dysphoria going on before I knew that that's what it was. And then when I was about 14, 13 or 14, I went to the GP about it
Mhm.
and was referred to
Uh,
gender clinics in the UK.
which
Um,
gender clinic were you referred to?
so
One
it
or
was Tavistock, it was a Tavistock branch
okay,
in Leeds.
okay, great. Okay, so there you go. You're 13, 14, and you get referred to the Tavistock, and now you're 20. Okay, so great. So now you're going through the system, right? So tell
Mhm.
me a little bit about what that means. What when you get to Tavistock, what happens?
Yeah, well, even before you get to Tavistock, at the moment, the waiting lists are awful. But back then, 10 months waiting felt like a long
Wow.
time. And
Wow.
so I was 15 when I had my first appointment.
Okay.
I was lucky enough to have my dad support me in this and take me to these appointments. But um, we'd get there, and most of the time they would separate us, which now I'm looking back on it, I think that was just a really bad move because,
Wow.
my dad was coming with me, like he was supporting, and yet they still wanted to speak with me in private.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
fascinating. So
yeah,
me and you are totally in alignment. We're thinking the exact same thing. You know that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they separate you from your dad and then bring you in, and what happens in that situation?
Um, so, they'd sort of discuss gender identity like it was sort of just made up, like based on ideals, I suppose. And I didn't relate to it. So I remember one thing they had, the genderbread person, which,
God.
which, have you seen it?
Yes. I mean, how can you not see it? They're like,
I swear. Yeah, it's like, but I didn't relate to that at all because it was like, sex is not just genitals, right? And that's where they pointed to this point. The sex is down there, and then what really mattered was your gender identity, which was pointed at the head.
Mhm.
And I was like, but no.
Dude, hilarious. I mean, this isn't funny, but it's funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know what to add to that, to be honest.
I know, totally. Like, okay, we're done. Wow, dude. So, but
Yeah.
see, you knew. You're like,
Mm.
what? So yeah, like,
Yeah.
and
So
so yeah.
they
Go on.
would separate me, and I remember like the discussions were sometimes really like, I don't know,
Hmm.
strange. I remember I brought up that I was abusing drugs quite a lot at the time. I was probably about 15, 16,
Mhm.
and I just remember them laughing, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you get high. That's fun, isn't it?"
Oh my
I don't know
God.
what that. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, they laughed. They didn't show any concern whatsoever. They didn't think, "Oh, maybe we should look into that," or maybe that's like worsening the dysphoria. They just straight up went, "Ha ha ha," and then moved on, and didn't tell my dad, obviously. Like,
Mhm.
obviously. Just it was weird. And also I brought up trauma because I have like a complex history with that, and that didn't make them think, oh, maybe that is has
Wow.
something to do with it. Like, I don't know if it does, which is the problem. I'm on testosterone now, but like,
That's
what
right.
if, you know?
That's
Um,
right.
and it was messed up.
Well, they weren't listening. First off, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you, Freddie, for being so honest and open. This is such a already a powerful conversation that many people, first off, need to hear because they need to see what's actually happening. So I have been very adamant in saying this is exactly what you're saying. We're not looking deeper in you young people. We're not saying, wait a minute, there could be some other things going on. When you're abusing drugs, when you have trauma, which a lot of us have, and not just trans people, but that's pretty prevalent in the world, sadly to say. They're not looking at the other things that are sort of giving you, and not to say that you don't have gender dysphoria at
Yeah.
all, but
But I
why
don't
are
know.
they? It's that
It's
is
the
such,
problem.
dude. That's not medical. That they're not helping you. That's in no
No.
way helping, and you know it. You're literally telling me that you know it. So they're just kind of shrugging off all the other things that you're saying, like I have drug abuse, have this other stuff, and they're just totally guiding you back. I can see exactly what's happening. And
Yeah.
so here you are now. Now what? So then did you have to go through
Okay.
some therapy for a while, or what?
Well, no, I was already in therapy, which is another thing. I have borderline personality disorder. I wasn't diagnosed
Okay.
at the time, but
Okay.
I was in therapy. They didn't really think to do therapy targeted to the gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
And I was offered blockers
Wow.
at maybe about 16.
Okay.
And they went through the list of possible side effects, and
Mm,
the ones we know
mm.
weren't on there. At all. It was like the positive side effects of, oh, your periods will stop, and that was pretty much it. um, and
Wow.
I at the time didn't actually know the other side effects, like the worst side effects. But I knew there was something wrong with this idea because they actually said I had to go on them if I wanted testosterone, and I had to go on them for at least a year, probably more. And so I actually said, like, I'll just wait until I'm in adult services and I'll take testosterone without the blockers. But I didn't know why I was saying that. And I know you've been called this before, actually. I sat there with my dad next to me and said, so I have to be a guinea pig. And they said, yeah. They didn't lie. They said, yeah.
Oh,
my dad will tell you. They literally just went, yeah,
oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Oh
yeah,
my God. This is not, wow. I mean, as you know, I was called a guinea pig 30 years
yeah,
ago. That's why
yeah,
this is making me so mad. 30
hmm
years ago, dude. And here you are 30 years later. They're saying the same thing to you that they said to me, yet they're acting like it's a safe space for you young people to be going through it. This is the most absurd. Oh my God. Again, I'm just going to keep thanking you. Thank you. You're literally what we need. No, you're because you're exposing. This is dangerous.
yeah,
This is dangerous on so many levels. As you know, it's why you stepped up to the plate because, I mean, you seem pretty solid. But what about the kid that's not solid? What about the kid
yeah,
that's not trans? Right?
exactly, exactly.
Exactly. So there you are. They're like telling you you've got to take puberty blockers, and you're smart. Somehow you're smart enough. Somehow, dude, you got.
I don't know how. I was 16.
Well, I think it's what it is that you know yourself on some
Yeah.
level, and you're like something doesn't seem right about this situation. Did you decide to just not take the block to not take the
Yeah,
blockers?
no, I sort of, I think pretty much after that, I didn't see them again. And I have
Mhm,
had one appointment with the adult version, but the
mhm,
waiting times are
mhm.
like insane. So I actually didn't get my testosterone from the gender clinics or a private clinic. And this is another thing. It's pretty hypocritical of me to say because I wouldn't be on it otherwise, but I got my testosterone by going to the GP once and saying, can I have testosterone, please?" And there was the only pushback was like, "Oh, that's not really my job." But
Okay.
then he did it, and
Wow.
I mean, I'm happy with it at the moment. But like, most people won't think to constantly evaluate if this is the right thing. Like, I go on subreddits of detransitioners all the
Wow.
time and like read their stories, and I'm like, okay, making sure that this is right for me, hearing everyone out, knowing that possibly I could change my mind. Most people wouldn't do that, so I don't think GPs should be allowed to prescribe hormones.
Oh my God, my friend. I mean, first off, the fact that you go on the boards and read the detrans says a lot about you. It means that you do
Yeah,
actually care about your own self, but you also care about this community because you're looking to see where these young people got caught. And I think you're checking yourself because
yeah,
this system is not checking you. And the system
exactly.
checked me, by the way. I think it's why I have such a solid transition, right? I've never looked
Yeah,
back. I've never said this is wrong. I've always been and that's all I
yeah,
want for you young people. I want this for you, but I can't offer this to you if they're not helping me offer it to you, if that makes sense. If the system is
yeah,
completely broken and they're just literally throwing testosterone to you young people with
yeah,
nothing, with like, wow, my friend. So now we have this detransitioner problem, which I keep saying is actually helping us on some level find out
yeah.
what we're
It
doing
is.
wrong, right? So when you're
Yeah.
in this place and you're looking at the detransitioners, are there things you see as red flags that we could sort of be like, this is what's happening?
Um, red flags as in things I could relate to.
Yeah, that you could say like, oh,
Yeah.
well, say basically your story, like how they're just throwing
Mm,
testosterone. Is that sort of like, I guess
yeah.
I'm asking what the common narrative is within the detrans community.
Actually, pretty much what I've experienced. I mean,
Yeah,
most of them are
yeah,
just homosexual.
yeah.
And
Wow.
today's fucked upness
Wow.
has sort of like confused them. But
Yeah.
I am bisexual, so
Mhm,
I was never really like super masculine.
mhm.
And so like that's where I make the distinction. It's like I can tell the difference between masc and being a
Yeah,
trans man. Like
yeah,
I still enjoy being feminine. The only
yeah.
reason I don't always do that is because of how I might
Mhm.
not look like a man, you know?
Sure,
Um,
sure.
but my diagnosis of borderline personality disorder,
Yeah,
that's quite a common one actually,
I
and
know.
also a history of sexual trauma. So
That's right.
That's why I'm constantly checking myself over and over.
Oh wow. No, you're really you really know what you're doing is self-love and also making sure that you're actually going in the right space. So when did you start taking the testosterone?
Just January this year.
Wow, so not even a year you're on testosterone.
Yeah.
You look fantastic, first off.
Thank you.
No, and I just love your energy. You have really great, beautiful, calm energy, that makes me feel like you are, kind of solid in what you're doing. How do you feel?
In general?
Yeah, like how do you feel outside the community crap? How do you feel physically and sort of emotionally?
Well, physically, I'm great. No side effects from the testosterone. I'm
Right,
quite like a
right,
healthy person generally.
right.
Mentally, I'm better than I have been in a while, but I actually think that was because of the BPD therapy I had, and I
Yeah,
think that's another point. Is like a lot of people say, like if you don't transition, you're gonna kill yourself. It's like I probably could have held it off a bit longer now because the actual cause of my thoughts and behaviors was the BPD, and I've been treated for that. So,
interesting, friend. Thank you for being honest. Do you know how many trans people I have and detrans who've told me they all have been, almost every single one of you people have said to me that you have been diagnosed with BPD. Do you know that?
mm,
Like it's crazy.
yeah,
So there is a correlation of what's going on. And not to say that you're not trans, but there's this one plug-in that I keep noticing with a lot of you young people is that BPD diagnosis.
yeah,
And that's why I keep telling everybody, I believe what we have is a mental disorder, which isn't a bad thing, but it's an
yeah,
important thing that you and I get a diagnosis so that we can understand, just like BPD. You just said when you got the diagnosis and worked on it, you felt better. It's the same with our diagnosis in a medical space. It makes us understand, why do we feel like this? It's not normal to
exactly,
feel like
yeah,
this idea that it's totally normal is so weird to me. This is not normal. It doesn't
no,
make it a bad thing.
no,
It's just not normal, and that is
no,
also okay.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I agree.
So now you're on the testosterone and you're living your life as a trans male. Tell me a little bit about what you start. So here you are living your life as a male, and are you in the community?
I haven't been for a while, I'd say,
So tell
like
me,
in the
so
trans community.
yeah, the trans male
Yeah.
community. So tell me, so when you start taking the testosterone or whatever is happening, did you sort of latch on to the community for support at one time, or were you sort of never?
No, I mean, when I was like 13, 14, 15, I used to like watch a lot of content made by like other trans men and stuff.
There you go.
Um, and I just sort of strayed away from that when I realized like having dysphoria isn't like my personality. I have so many other interests. I don't need to just constantly be like, because also it was really making me want to transition and desperate.
Wow.
And like, I felt like the more I watched these like trans guys who had been on testosterone and everything, the more I was like eager to transition. I was like, I don't need that. Like, I just will hold off because I physically can't transition yet. But
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't benefiting me at all. So recently,
Interesting.
past few years, I haven't really
Smart. I
been
think
looking.
that's why you seem so grounded, to be honest with you, because I see the
Yeah,
same thing. And what you're saying, I think a lot of us see. We're calling it social contagion, and then people in the community are getting pissed about that. But I'm like, I'm old. Let me tell you.
I see it. I see it everywhere.
So a young person sees it. So does the old person see it.
And
It's
I'll tell
not
you
too.
this,
Mhm.
a lot of other young people see it too, because
Okay,
I have
great.
friends who I actually have a lot of friends who identify as non-binary or like whatever, but
Okay.
like they still see the contagion aspect of it.
Why do you think more people like yourself aren't stepping up to have this conversation?
I've spoken to a few friends about it, and they all say that they agree they're just afraid.
What are they afraid of?
Just cancel culture. Even if they're not like, even if they've not got a platform,
Yeah,
they're
of course.
afraid of cancel culture.
Well, because you don't need a platform to be canceled, right? Your friends will stop talking to you. And at your
Exactly.
age, that's very detrimental at your age. At my age, whatever, dude. I have enough
Yeah.
friends. I don't really care. But no, it's for real. It will mess with your mental health if all of a sudden all of your friends are calling you transphobic, or you know what I mean, or just bailing
Yeah.
on you. That can really mess with your. I've talked to kids, young people who've lost their friends because they detransitioned and they got called
Yeah.
all these names. That's mentally, that's just mental abuse on some level, right?
I've spoken to a few of my friends before I did this because I know that they have different views, and
Yeah,
like it's more like
yeah,
they don't think that I'm a bad person.
sure.
They just disagree, and I'm like, well, same to you, I
That's
suppose.
right. That,
Yeah, it's like
uh,
that's why we're friends.
I disagree with a lot of my friends, by the way, and we still love
Yeah,
each other. That
yeah,
I've never heard of this idea that we can't. I disagree with my wife constantly, dude. Like,
yeah,
what? Are you kidding me? Like, since when do
yeah,
you agree with somebody like 24/7? That's like culty, weird behavior.
exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm not like conservative. I know UK politics is very different, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
I can still have these views and not like be conservative. Like it doesn't
Of
have to be about
course.
politics either. It's
No,
just a thing that we think.
but you see what they're doing? They're pushing it into a political space, right? Oh,
I know.
that's what they call. I'm a liberal, but of course I get called right wing, get called all
Yeah,
kinds of nonsense stuff. It's like, well,
yeah,
whatever. If you really listen to me, you would see it's not right wing. And, again, remember, this is all gaslighting. They do that so you will shut up, and they do that so you will get fearful to
yeah,
say something. So you're actually saying things that I know that these young people are. It's why I value people like you stepping up and having really the courage to say, I can't be part of this
yeah.
anymore, because I think it will hurt so many of us in the long run. It's not going to help us. And what were the things you started to notice? Were there certain sort of red flags?
Um, uh, as in terms of it being a contagion.
Yeah, yeah. Not only that, just like all of a sudden you're like, what? Something isn't right here.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, well, actually, my mum
Mm,
swayed me.
mm.
She used to say like you're not a man, but not in a like she wouldn't just come up to me like you're not a man, you know. Like
Sure, sure.
I at first like took that as oh, but I am trans men are men. Of course they are. And didn't think about it and then realized she was saying that because she wanted me to have a full understanding of what I'm doing for
Totally,
my safety and for my
totally.
happiness.
Mhm.
And so I really appreciate it now. She's not transphobic in any way. Like most people would be like, Shh, that's transphobic. She just wants
No,
people to be sure.
it's actually not transphobic. It would be transphobic on some level not to say that to you. So your mom
Yeah.
is awesome, by the way. Send her a big hug from me because she
She
cares
really
about you.
likes you as well. She
Oh,
wants to see
sweet,
you.
sweet. Yeah, because I'm old. She's like, we get each other. We're gonna take care of these young people. No, your mom cares about you, and she obviously does respect your transition, and she
Yeah.
only wants the best for you. And it's like that's what I
Yeah.
keep telling people. We as trans men have to connect to our biology. I don't care what you tell me or what you say. It will be the best thing you ever do, kiddo. If you just connect what you have,
Absolutely.
obviously,
Yeah.
and you say, "This is who I am. I'm not comfortable in that space. I move forward here, and I live my life this way." It literally will take you to the next level of life. And
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
so at peace now. Everyone's like, oh, you're so internally transphobic. You must be miserable. And it's like, no, I'm not miserable. I was, and that's because I was really dysphoric. And then I understood what was going on and I started transitioning, and now I'm happy.
that's so beautiful, friend. And that's what we need actually people to see out there who don't like us. They need to see somebody like yourself who actually has a great head and a focus on their shoulder, because they're seeing all those crazy ones. You're transphobic, like screaming out and just throwing fits. And you think people
Yeah.
are going to be okay with me and you transitioning when they see people acting completely insane? But that's all I want, is for the transition to make you happy and to move forward. And you're not going to live in the trans space. You're going to be Freddie,
Yeah.
who goes to school, learns a trade, whatever you're going to do, and become a powerhouse. Who cares about being trans? That's what I want.
Exactly.
That's what this kid, Freddie, right here is going to be. He's going to be successful. He's going to be moving forward. He's going to participate in our world. He's not going to run around telling you, I'm trans, you're transphobic. It's so bizarre. So that's why I question these young people who are so angry and mean, because the transition did exactly what it did for me. It made me happy. It didn't make me angry.
Exactly. And it shouldn't, like, also, I'm pretty sure like you just want to like live your life after that. You wouldn't want to carry on being like trans.
Trans rights are human rights.
Yeah,
Trans women are
okay to be
women.
proud. It's okay to be proud of your journey.
Of course. And we
But,
need
like,
that. Yeah.
Like I just saw your Instagram as well before, and it was like people talking about genocide, and it's like we're not facing genocide. We're all good.
Wow, dude. Wow.
I feel like actually it's like when Blair White got Ben Shapiro to actually like call her a woman. It's like they're fighting the wrong fight. They're fighting for a world that's not gonna happen.
That's right.
So it's not the best.
Well, they don't
way to
care.
get trans acceptance is to just be real.
That's right. Dude, I'm going to keep going back to my age, and I'm going to keep telling you how long I've lived like this, and I haven't had any problems, right? And I lived in the Wild West, right? I lived when there wasn't any acceptance of trans people. But because I always came to the table as honest, people actually appreciate you when you're honest. I've never said I wasn't a biological female. I never said that, I was a man. I said I want to be a man, and I live as a man. That language is important. Especially if we want the rest of the world to say, oh, okay, I get it. You were suffering, but we don't want you to suffer. But when we're coming to it with a disingenuous, lying, stealing, misogyny, I mean, I could go on and on and on. I don't know what that is, because that's not what I think you and I are. They have a different agenda.
Yeah.
And I think they got a young generation involved in this as a means and a way for the kids to feel like they're a part of something, maybe.
Yeah, very much. I actually noticed quite a lot on social media, people, especially like young females, just saying, oh, I realized I was a guy because I watched a show about two gay men and realized I want to be loved the way a guy is loved. And it's like, so you didn't have dysphoria up until then, when now you're like, I just want to be a gay man. It's like, it's
twisted.
It's something off, and it's like there's so many of them.
Yeah.
That it's like, this can't actually be trans.
That's right. Because how come it only started happening in the last 10 to 5 years, the massive influx of trans? That's why I'm like, no, because if it was real, it would always have been like this, number one. Number two, how come it's only in the western part of the world? If you go look at the other parts of the world, very rarely do you see any of this happening.
Exactly.
So, right, if it was natural within the human condition, which it is natural in the human condition, but very rare. This is a rare condition. But these kids, and what you're saying to me is they're seeking, I'm telling you, they're seeking to belong, because it's hard to be a girl. It's much harder, I think, to be a young girl than it is to be a young boy. I really do. I apologize if there's young men out there who are saying no, but it's just a different experience. And I think that young girls get sexualized early, right? There's all these things happening that happened to me, and I think it happened to you.
And also the correlation there is that there are a lot more young girls who are quite liberal and progressive in their views than there are young men. So it would make sense.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
More young girls thinking they're trans.
Thinking.
Absorbing
that's the key, Freddie. Thinking they are trans. They are not trans. And also, now you can self-ID.
Yeah.
That's a huge mess, my friend. That means your mom could self-ID as trans right now. dangerous behavior. When we're
Yeah.
just letting anyone say I'm trans without any kind of diagnosis. You got a diagnosis. You went through the system. You were smart enough not to take the blood.
I didn't even get a diagnosis, but I'm not even diagnosed. It's so messed up. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting testosterone.
Wow.
It's like, it's messed up.
Unbelievable. Well, that's why Tavistock got nailed, because they were
Yeah.
doing all kinds of sketchy. It's here now. You know, like we have so much sketchy stuff happening in the States, friend. You
Mhm.
can literally go in as a 16-year-old and come out in 20 minutes with a prescription for testosterone with no mental health care, nothing. Just I'm trans. I'm
Yeah.
trans. I'm trans. I'm a giraffe. Okay, cool. I mean,
Yeah, might as well.
might as well. So, oh my gosh, my friend. So what do you think we can do? What do you think as a young person who's concerned? You're concerned, and
Mhm.
what do you think your role and my role, and how can we start to sort of pull back on this and shine a light on it?
I think trying to change people's views isn't gonna work very
Okay.
fast.
Okay.
So I think it's more of like we should just make sure that there's a big wall that you have to get over before any prescriptions, anything, any diagnosis even, which is therapy, you know, psychological help. I think
Right.
that, especially for young people, is vital. You can't just throw them hormone blockers that aren't reversible.
Oh, thank you. Someone else said it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, yeah, psychological help. And I think the acceptance that it's a disorder is kind of vital. I disagree with you about like one thing, which is I
Okay.
do think
Great.
non-binary probably exists and
Yeah.
could be trans if we're talking about a level of gender dysphoria. If we're
Okay.
talking about, I actually prefer the term sex dysphoria because it's about your sex.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great.
If there's like a level of that, I can like disorders come in spectrums for like
Sure.
any disorder really. So like I can imagine someone feeling dysphoric about maybe like a female being dysphoric about being female, but also not wanting to be fully male, and I can see that happening. I just think, you know, obviously there's the issue with a lot of non-binary people then get confused
Mhm.
because they're actually not non-binary, they're just like gender non-conforming, which
That's right.
is absolutely fine, but calling that trans is gonna cause a lot of issues because that is counterproductive completely because you know say like you're associating it with a mental disorder when it should just be a normal beautiful natural thing that people do.
Thank you.
Sorry, I kind of went off a tangent.
No. It's about you. It's not, people hear me talk all the time.
Yeah,
This is about
I
you.
lost track of what we were saying.
Well, no, because it's me. We're all over the place. But that being, but all good stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I want to say that first off, thanks for pushing on me, because I'm very much about that. And you're allowed to disagree, and you're allowed to have
Yeah.
a different opinion. Doesn't mean we dislike each other. It means your opinion, which I actually take into consideration. And some of the things that you said do make sense to me, and I agree. The thing for me is I don't believe non-binary is trans. That's just where I come from.
Yeah.
Only because I believe that we should get back to gender non-conforming, and we should say you're just gender non-conforming, kiddo. You're androgynous. It used to be called androgynous. I was androgynous when I was living as a female, right? I totally walked between two worlds. I looked very male. I mean, I looked like a young boy.
I'd say if your dysphoria is not about your biological sex, it's
Right.
not trans.
That's right.
That's where I stand.
That's right. And that's how I feel as well. And the problem for me also is kind of equating non-binary with trans is now we start adding more things to it, which is what happened under the trans umbrella. That's where everything started. Yeah. I mean,
do not like the umbrella.
Like everything can be under the umbrella. Like what? Yeah. That doesn't make actually, that's dangerous, friend, because you see what happened now. We just literally opened the door and the floodgates, and everyone who is saying whatever 50 billion different, what are they called, neo pronouns, and how is that me?
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
No. It's
I
not.
think, as I said, I think, there could be some genuine trans people who identify as
Yeah,
non-binary because they don't
sure,
feel fully binary, I suppose. But
sure.
yeah, no, if it's not
Well,
dysphoria,
the
like
thing
you
for
said,
me
it's not.
is the diagnosis, which you also agree with
Yeah,
with me. Well, you need to go through
yeah,
some extensive therapy. If you were diagnosed with having some gender dysphoria, I could kind of see that. You're right, and I also find that non-binary is kind of this sort of space for people to live in to figure out what they want to do next. Some non-binary people
yeah,
transition, some just go back to
yeah.
living. But
Some
again,
don't try to present differently at all, and that's where I'm
that's right.
confused.
That's where I get
That's where I'm
confused.
confused. Yeah,
That's right. That's right. I get confused when trans men, or I guess now they call it trans mask.
yeah,
It looked like my sister. I'm like, what? What?
yeah. It's
Oh,
like, what about you is trans?
what part of you is masculine and what part of you is trans? Because you
Yeah,
see, that's the co-opting that I find to be disrespectful to people like us who are
yeah.
really do
I feel like
suffer.
I feel like I will say, like, because I don't understand something doesn't mean that it's not, like, valid, but
Exactly.
it's not the same
It's
as me if
not
you
the
are
same.
like that.
Yeah, thank you for saying that and clearing that. I feel the same way. Like it doesn't mean that you don't have something going on, but it's like saying cancer is diabetes. Like what?
Mm,
They're completely two different diagnoses.
exactly.
You can't. And also that's the problem I have with self-ID. That's like saying you can self-ID with cancer just because you
Yeah,
want to have cancer and it's that absurd. But
yeah,
if you take the same thing that's happening in the trans community and you stick it on top of cancer, it's the same thing because it's a
yeah,
diagnosis. And so now you're just saying anyone can say that they have this sort of, but that's because they're
yeah,
trying to take it out of the mental. You know that. They're trying to say that trans is not a mental disorder.
yeah, and that's a problem
That's
because it
the
is.
that's it right there.
Also, like, I don't think having LGBT is a bad thing, but I think
Hmm,
that's where all of this started.
that's right.
Because, like, I see people sort of using the fight against homophobia, like, oh, that quote of, like, they're taking our children, they're converting
Ah,
them. It's like us saying that there's a bit of an epidemic going on with trans things is a completely different thing.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, it is. But the problem is now people hate us more than ever. I don't know if you know that. You might not because you haven't. I've been in the space a long time. I walk the
Yeah,
world with. Of course, dude. There's always going to be hate. Just so you know.
yeah,
Just be prepared. It's just how it is. Blah blah blah. You'll probably just go on to living your life as a dude, and no one will ever know that you're trans. That's what I did, and no
yeah,
one cared. But when they find out, back in the day, that people would flip out. And then they would just be okay with it. But today, I feel like there's a lot of anger around
mm.
trans because I don't think the trans community is taking on any responsibility for this. They
I
think
don't think
everyone
they
just
real. I think they genuinely think that they're not hurting anyone.
that's
They're
right.
doing good, and
That's right.
that's where the issue is because they are, and they won't accept it.
They won't accept it. They won't accept the fact that they're part of the problem. It's
Mhm.
not all of the problem, but they're creating a lot of, when we have LGBTQIA 2 plus PP poo poo, what is next kind of situation, you are asking for problems, dude. You are
Yeah,
literally asking. It's like opening the door and everyone moves into your house. And you're like, but wait a minute here. I don't have enough room for all you. And
yeah,
then everyone starts arguing with each other because I'm sleeping there and I'm going there. And that's exactly
uh,
what's happening in our house, dude.
and when you invade on women's rights that they fought hard for, there's gonna be pushback. There's gonna be a problem there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my friend, because I will not ever let them go and do the things they're trying to do to women's space. I live my life, half my life. I like literally lived half my life as a woman, and now I've lived half my life as a man. So I'm like in
Yeah,
this very weird kind of interesting space, and I can see things. But honestly, my friend, I am not okay with the way we're treating the trans community is treating women. I am not okay with it. I find
no,
it to be
I'm
very
not.
misogynist. Yes,
Yeah.
it's. I don't know why we're having this
Mm.
weird attack on women.
Well, you don't really see, for instance, with the sports, you don't see trans men trying to get into men's sports because
Why do you
there's a
think that is?
biological disadvantage, maybe.
I was That was testing you.
Maybe.
Maybe it's biology.
So yeah, that's the thing. I think that trans men are women, so they see like a whole nother aspect of this thing. And you know, with the recent like thing with the UK Prime Minister saying that trans women won't be in women's wards, it's like
Excellent.
I see that as a great thing
Excellent.
as a trans man as well, because
That's
it's
right.
like I've been in hospital quite a lot, and most of the time I was given my own room, and then one time they didn't have room for me, so they said, "What ward do you want to be on?" And I said the female ward because I hadn't started testosterone, and also because I don't belong in a men's space when I am not a biological man.
That's right.
You know.
Brilliant.
Even though, like, oh yeah, it would make me feel good a little bit, you know, to be treated as a man. That doesn't mean I am one. That doesn't mean that trans women are women, you know.
Thank you. God, a 20-year-old is saying this. Oh my God, I have faith in the universe. You're actually saying it. It's so beautiful. And it's not transphobic and it's not anti anything.
No,
it's reality. Yay. Oh my God. Can you imagine that we're actually, you know, we're going to look back on this in 5 years, Freddie, and we're going to be like, we actually had that conversation. But no, I appreciate that because it is the safety aspect of it, you know, and I don't think people understand the safety aspect for, especially for you and I. I would pick the woman's ward 100 times over the male ward, even though look at me, right?
Yeah.
So no way. I feel way more comfortable being around women in a hospital or in a gynecological space, or, you know, if someone has to look at my body, totally.
And I will say, I know it's different for trans women because sometimes, you know, men are scary. And if you are a feminine looking man, you're at risk. But the fight is probably more rooted in homophobia anyway.
Yes.
But also, that's not what the government was saying. The government didn't say, you know, you're not going to be in women's wards. You're going to be in men's wards. They said you're going to have your own separate space. And people have been twisting that into they're going to put trans women in men's wards. And I've seen people making memes about it already, like trans women going, me walking into the men's ward, like, it's like, no, the government did not say that. And I don't agree with the government on most other things, but with that.
Because it's called safety. I don't care what you say. First off, trans women are this tiny compared to women. So, right? So we have a lot of women, and you're going to stick a trans dude, I mean, a woman in that space. And, you know, something can happen in there. We're starting to see it. There's a lot of disingenuous trans women, right, who are biological male, who are saying they're trans when they're not trans.
And you can't make the distinction. If you say that you are trans, if you say you are,
that's right.
Then you can't make the distinction. So
that's right.
You have to admit, it sucks for trans women that, you know, they're getting this treatment because of it. But, you know, it's reality, as you say.
But yeah, and I'm not okay with trans women getting harassed or any of that. I'm not okay with anybody getting harassed. But there has to be a space where we start talking about reality. Now I love what you said, and I want to just reiterate that about the UK government didn't say that they're gonna give them their own space. Is that what they're gonna do? Sort of like
so like when I was put in like my own room, like most of the time, that was before this law even came into place. And I don't know if it's law yet, but you know what I mean. So I think the only real argument to be had on that is they might not have enough room in hospitals for trans people to have their own space every time. So in that case, what do you do? But like in general, it would be a win for everybody if we did that. You know, it's like we get treated like luxury having our own room.
You just said, like, the fact that they just said, so this is so great. The fact that they just said, we might not have enough room for trans women. They're saying that because trans women are so small. It's a small minority, right? We might not be able to give you your own space because there's not very many of you. Duh. So like.
But also there might not be enough rooms in the hospital is kind of what I meant. But
Well,
Both,
no, I get what
both
you're saying.
sexes.
Also, we can't always override everybody else's rights for trans people rights. It doesn't work that way. But
Yeah,
the other thing they could do is if there's a trans man and a trans woman, they could put them in the same room together,
yeah,
right? That's a solution, right? The thing is these people don't want a solution, Freddie. They want
no,
dominance. We have to have
yeah,
solutions for these problems. The stupid
yeah.
toilet problem and these made up bullshit problems, right? Oh,
We
trans
won't
women in
let that
sports.
happen. We won't let that happen.
It's
It
so
can't.
disgusting. Because the thing is, yeah, of course you want to feel safe in the hospital. You're sick, you don't feel good, right? A trans
Yeah,
woman who maybe like somebody like Blair, who full on looks like a chick, no one would ever
yeah,
know. She could be put in a men's space and have a problem. 100%. We know that. Men
yeah,
can be animals. It's a real
yeah.
thing.
But if you let Blair White in to the women's boards, you let everyone who
That's
pretends
exactly
into the
right.
women's board.
And Blair knows that. And Blair is
Yeah,
not okay with that. And Blair will be the first one to tell you, I'm not cool with that. I should be put in either the men's space or a, private sort of area. In
yeah,
prison, they have that. In jail, they have, well, here in the States, if you go in and you're sort of outside the norm of the situation, then they'll put you in a holding space that's more of homosexuals or transsexuals or somebody who's going to get hurt in that
that's the
space.
solution. We shouldn't
That's
be
right.
like making it a women's problem because it's never become a men's problem. It's only ever become a women's problem.
Because me and you are not a threat to men. Men will laugh at us. Men will be. I've
Yeah,
been around men for 30 years as a dude, right? In the gym and all of it. I've been around them. They don't care about us, dude. They're just like, whatever. They flick you. They don't care. They
yeah,
actually don't care. I've gone around the world and back in gyms and everywhere. Nobody cares about me. It's different for women. Me and you both have used the women's facilities. It's
yeah,
it's it's a very vulnerable space for women. Women are vulnerable. Men are not. And I mean, I don't understand how that's such a difficult concept for people, especially
yeah.
trans women. I don't understand how that's a difficult concept for them. I feel like they're being disingenuous when they talk about things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend. She's a trans woman, and
Yeah,
I mean, we disagree on some things, but on this,
sure.
she knows that she's trans.
Yes,
It's not like
yes.
woman, like she knows she's a trans woman.
Because she's lives in reality and she knows if she
Yeah,
doesn't sort of understand who she is, how is she going to move? If you don't understand who you are, seriously, if you don't even know who you are, how are you going to move forward in the world? How is the transition even going to help you? If you're
exactly.
because you're lying to yourself. So you're already getting into a trans space, but lying about who you are. How is that even helping anybody in this
It just
scenario?
I genuinely, the thing is, I used to have these like very liberal views on this, and so like
Yeah.
when I look back on that, I'm like, I just didn't think. So that's the problem. No one's thinking.
I think but you're saying a lot to me as a young person because I think that that's what's happening with a lot of the young people. They're just not thinking. They're following. So I want to go. You told me that you were on social media a little bit early on in your space, and then you got
Yeah,
off of it because you were seeing, right?
yeah,
Like everyone's
it,
just saying you're trans.
yeah. It started frustrating me. Actually, just seeing like all of the I don't know,
Mm,
I want to say progressive stuff because
mm,
like even though I sort of agreed with it at the time,
mm.
it became exhausting, you know? It's like that's not my identity. I don't actually relate to that. It's all online. It's like in real life, I'm not fighting anything. I'm just trying to live as me.
That's right.
So it was
Beautiful.
all online. I sometimes even think now it's like, what if like
Mm,
what would have happened if I didn't have social media or there hadn't been this sort of contagion going on? Like, would I have still come to the same conclusion? Would I still have
yeah.
dysphoria? I think I would,
Yeah.
but like, you've got
Yeah.
to start asking that now
Yeah. No,
because
you
it
make
is a
such
problem.
Well, it is because again, I grew up without the social media and I do have
Yeah,
gender dysphoria and I did find a way to fix the gender dysphoria without the internet, right? And I do
yeah,
believe that that is why I am so solid. Again, I'll keep telling you that. I was not influenced. In fact, I was pushed against, just so you know.
yeah,
They did not hand me this. I had to go through years of therapy. I had to do what we both agree, gatekeeping. I don't care. You can call it I call it safekeeping, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's a structure. You know, because there were people like me back in the day who decided not to do it because they lived in that space, and they're like, "Oh, I don't think I really am a man. I don't think I really
Yeah.
am, a woman. I think maybe I'm just dealing with gender non-conforming."
Yeah. Funnily enough, I actually do think that there are way more people who seem very progressive and liberal,
Mhm.
but actually secretly have these views
Oh
than
yeah.
we think.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
actually have I have a lot of examples, but I'll give you one.
Yeah.
The person at the adult gender clinic I was on the
Okay.
phone to, and she sort of was talking about how when I have my appointment with the doctor, they'll do it under some sort of thing that was listed under transsexual. And she's like, I know that's an outdated term and everything. I was like, nope, I relate to it. And she's like, really? I'm so glad to hear that. And this is someone who works within the gender clinics who was really glad to hear that there was someone who actually explained why transsexual suited them better.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I've done some solo traveling, and I've met so many people who are just like, it's so great to hear this coming from you, because this is bullshit, but I just don't say anything and I just pretend to agree.
Wow, dude, wow, you're saying it all. I know all this. I'm an old
I
fart.
know you know.
I know it all, but you're exactly saying what I can't say because I could say it, I think, but you're literally living in it, and especially a 20-year-old. It's so powerful because I know it. I believe it. I get messages all the time, friend.
Yeah.
DMs. Thank you, dude.
And
I
I'm
can't speak
sending
up.
messages all the time. I'm one of the people, so
No,
I
but
know
you
there are
you
people
stepped
like
up.
me.
You said to me, "I can't stand it anymore. It's time for me to use my voice."
Oh, it was
You actually
terrifying,
said
but
that to me, and
it
that's
was
what I'm
1
saying.
a.m. It was 1 a.m. I
Sorry?
was like, I can't. It was 1 a.m. I went I was like, I watched your debate with Blossom, and I was like, I want to be like Buck. So
That shit show, dude. That
I was like, I'm
Blossom.
gonna regret this in the morning, but it's fine.
And I know you're not. You're never gonna regret this. It's actually gonna
I hope not.
empower you.
I don't think I will. I don't think I
Nope.
will.
Nope.
It might affect what I want to do because I want to be an actor, but even if it does, it's I don't even care anymore. This shit's not
Dude,
important.
it's not
It
gonna
was
affect
selfish
it.
of me.
Well, first off, no, and I appreciate you saying that. But secondly, it's not going to affect anything because you're Freddie. You're not a trans dude. You're Freddie. And you're going to live off of all of your stuff. You're going to live off your talent as an actor. You're going to live off of your great character, your integrity, everything, compassion, all of the things that are coming out in this interview. Put the trans stuff over here, dude. You're not acting because you're trans. You're acting because you want to be an actor. And I think that's why this conversation is so powerful, because I think a lot of young people feel stuck in this space, and that their trans identity is everything that.
Yeah, I was more just concerned, because it's such a controversial topic,
It's
and,
ridiculous.
I've signed contracts before where they're like, if you talk about this, then you need to make sure you don't associate with, for instance, the BBC, because I did recently a thing with them, and it was like, these contracts scare you.
That's right.
I don't want to be scared, and I feel
Don't be.
really empowered during this now. So I hope I continue to feel.
I
that
hope
way.
you start your
And I
own
hope that
channel. You
other
should
young
start.
people think that.
Yeah, sorry. You should start your own YouTube channel or something. Whatever I can do to help you continue.
Yeah, but what else would I even say at this point that hasn't been said by you?
But I'm
It's
60.
I just need.
But
I
I'm
know,
60. That I'm telling you, I'm encouraging you, because it doesn't matter. I'm saying things coming from a different point of view. As someone, I have a vantage point from here. But that being said, your voice is a vantage point of exactly what's happening. And that's why a voice like yours, it doesn't matter that I'm saying the same things me and you say. I'm saying it in a different way than how you're saying it. You're literally in it. I don't hang out with you. I don't hang out with 20-year-old trans guys. I don't. And I don't even hang out with trans people. I'll be honest with you. I live a whole other life outside of. That's why I'm sane. I'm not even kidding. It's literally why I'm sane, because I don't step into this every day. Once I'm done with these interviews, I step back into the real world. But I would, just think about even putting your voice on your Instagram. But this young, powerful voice of yours will help other young people who are struggling to actually say what they want to say. And the more of us that do this, and the more of an older generation and a younger generation that comes together, dude, let me just tell you how powerful that is on so many levels. It is.
Yeah, I mean, I think now I've done this, there's no going back, you know. I will probably continue. I just don't want to make it like, because it frustrates me so much that it
Yeah, I
actually
hear you.
takes a toll.
It
So I'm
does.
just like, I need to do like a few things and this and
That's
just
right.
let
That's
everyone
right.
else try and think for themselves.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah,
I'm just pushing you, and I'm pushing you as Trampa.
I know.
I'm just kidding. No, no, but I want you to do your. I don't want you to be stuck in the trans space. I want you to be an actor and be a successful actor and move forward in your life and become a badass. That's where I come in as your Trampa. I just want you to be a badass, and that's all I care about. Why I retire on the
Yeah.
beach smoking my cigar, dude. I'm done here. I'm over it. Oh, you're such a lovely person. I really value you, and I think you have such a beautiful outlook, and really platforming you and letting the world see young people like you are so great and important for the future, not only of the trans space, but the future of our society. This kid wants to just get into the world and live, like I keep saying. That's why you transition, right? You
Yeah,
transition to be happy.
exactly.
Is there anything you'd want to say? We're going to end here soon. Is there anything you'd want to say, maybe to the world or to the community, or just a sort of message?
The truth can hurt, but it doesn't mean it's not the truth.
Right on. Beautiful.
That's what I'll say.
Powerful. So I want
Yeah.
thanks so much for your time today, Freddie. It really means a lot to me, and everybody out there, really just give Freddie a ton of love. And if he wants, I'll put some of his socials or a way to connect with him. I'll talk to him about that later. But
Yeah, I'm free for discussion
oh,
with
excellent,
anyone.
excellent. Yeah, because people are going to want to reach out to you. I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah,
And hopefully a lot of
thank you.
young people will hear you and say, "Oh my God, dude, I feel the same way. Thank you."
I
I
hope so.
do have a feeling that's going to happen.
I thought we just want to help people. That we're not being cruel, we're not being transphobic. This is actually just wanting to help.
That's right. Thank you.
So,
It means
yeah,
a
of
lot that
course
you
I'll
step
that.
up. No, because not a lot of people your age are willing to do it for many reasons. And you said it, they're fearful. They don't want to
Yeah.
lose their space. I get it. I'm very understanding of that. But what you said here today is nothing bad, nothing anti anything. It was just, this is what's happening. And I feel a need to say it before
Yeah.
other young people get sucked into this space. So leave Freddie beautiful comments, because you all do that, and I very much appreciate that. And thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys all on the live on Wednesday. And then remember, like, subscribe, send this to people who really need to see it. I value every single one of you, and thank you so much for joining us today.